So let's create a delete view. So I'm gonna add another view, and I'll call this one delete. Just like before, we need to have the model, and we are deleting a single employee, so the model is gonna be for the employee. Let's create a structure. So h2 is gonna be delete an employee, and then we can have a warning here. So it's gonna be h3, and let's say with the class message, so it's gonna be in red, and it will say something like warning, you are about to delete an employee record. And now we will have a form where we will display all the information about the employee, and a button that when clicked will delete the employee. So let's create a form. The controller, of course, is going to be the employee manager, and the action is going to be delete, and the method is going to be post. So first thing that we need is the employee of the ID that we are deleting, and this one we can display on our form, but we also need to pass it into the delete action. So again, I'll use a hidden field for our employee ID like we did for the update. So I'll use input type equals hidden, and this is gonna be bound to the employee ID. So ASP4 is employee ID. And now let's create a table. So the table, let's say border equals 0, and let's create our first TR, and we can display all the information here. So the first TD is going to be for our employee ID, so the class is going to be right, just like before. This is gonna be the label. Because we are not gonna allow the user to modify anything, we'll simply want to display it here. So the label is gonna be ASP4 employee ID, and then we'll have the TD where we will actually show the ID. So the ID is coming from the model, and then the employee ID. So fairly simple. I'm gonna copy this TR and paste it here, and this is gonna be for our first name. So this is gonna be labeled for first name, and we'll display the first name from the model. I'll paste it there again, and this is gonna be for the last name. So we will go to our model.lastName to display it. Let's do the title next. So this is gonna be bound to the title, and we'll go to the model.title to display the title. Then we'll have the birth date. I'll code this one specifically because there's gonna be some changes here. So you want this to be the class right, just like before, and we'll have the label birth date. So it's gonna be a label that is gonna be bound to the birth date. And then we'll have another TD, and here we will display the birth date, but we want to change this to a string with a specific formatting, and I want this to display 2-digit day, 4-digit month, and 4-digit year. So I'll specify model.birthdate, that's what's gonna be coming into this TD, and I'll convert it to string, and here I will specify the formatting. So this is gonna be DD, and then we'll have capital MMM, and actually 4 M's for month. You can see it says full month, and then year, so 4-digit year. Now I'm gonna copy this TR and display the higher date, so everything stays the same except the label is gonna be bound to higher date, and the model will display the higher date. The formatting stays the same. Now I'll copy one of these TRs, let's say for the title, and I want to display the country. We don't need the drop down here, we only want to display the country this employee belongs to. So the bounding is gonna be to country, and we'll go to model.country to display it. And finally, we'll display the notes, and again, we'll simply displaying them, so we don't need any text area, we can simply display it in a TD. So the label is gonna be bound to nodes, and the model will display the nodes. So after this, we'll have the button, so it's gonna be another TR. Then we'll have the TD. I'll do the cal span of 2, so it's a little bigger. And then we'll have the button in it. So the button is gonna be type equals submit. And the text on the button will say delete. And now I'll go to one of the previous views we created, and I'll copy this link back to the employee listing and these BR tags and paste them right after the delete form. Alright, let's run this and let's see if we can delete an employee. So I'm going to click delete for my employee I created. Here's my warning, here's all the information. I'll click delete. An employee was deleted successfully and we are redirected back to our list view and the employee is gone. Now let's see if we can make some mistakes and see if the validation works. So I'm gonna click on one of these employees to update, and let's say I'll change the country to please select. Click save, and you can see employee country is required, so it did not take it. So I changed it back to UK. I'll remove the first name, try to save that, and you can see employee first name is required. So that is a validation for the update. So I'll exit from there and go to insert, and let's just submit empty form, and you can see we got the validation for all of these except nodes, because nodes is optional. Alright, so our validation works, our CRUD operations work. So that's basically all we have as far as the employees go. However, I also want to add registration of the user as well as authentication of the user. So I want to add .NET Core identity to this application, so we will first have to log in before we can perform any of these CRUD operations. So let's work on that next.